Hello and welcome to our channel. We're using a little booklet that I have composed titled Kamatthana. It can be found as an ebook on this channel, and I encourage you to download it so you can follow along as we go page by page, and you can use it for your practice at other times. Today we are on page 8, and here we go. All dhammas, that means it's a small d dhamma, that means anything in the world, anything that exists. Capital D dhamma is the teaching of the Buddha. So all dhammas, and they define that as a compound thing. So even an atom is a compound thing, a compound thing. So anything that exists in the universe, however complex or however simple, a single cell creature is a compound thing. These compound things arise from causes, and they pass away because causes bring about their cessation. So there's two things here. One, there are laws of nature that we're calling dhammas, and those dhammas are what's behind or what's responsible for things coming into existence, and they're responsible, or it's responsible, for things passing out of existence. And if it's a thing, even a thought is a thing. If it's a thing, it will arise, it will stay for some time, and it will pass away. And that is the definition of anicca. Because things arise and pass away, that we cannot depend on them. We cannot securely build a life around something that is so transitory, so unpredictable, so insecure. And that's what we call dukkha. So anicca is things arising and passing away, and dukkha is trying to build a life with some sense of security in a world, in a universe where there is no such security. It's impossible. There's no way to be secure in a world that's in a constant state of flux. The third step is to recognize that this law applies also to the sense of self, and that in fact the sense of self is the greatest delusion of all delusions. Second one says, the one who understands the Dhamma, that's capital D, not the laws of nature, not astronomy or microbiology or any other of the sciences, understanding languages or being an excellent cook or skilled athlete. That's not what it says. It says understands the Dhamma, that's the teaching of the Buddha, understands himself, and the one who understands himself understands the Dhamma the Buddha teaches. Now, we have to use personal pronouns. We just said a moment ago there is no self, and now we say if you understand yourself, you'll understand the Dhamma. Technically, we'll have to rephrase that. If you understand there is no self, you will have understood the ultimate teaching of the Dhamma, and you will be liberated from the suffering that arises as a result of believing that you're a person, that you're in charge, that you're making your own decisions, you have your own likes and dislikes, and that you can live in a world with some security. Knowing the present, one knows the past and future. The present is the result of the past and the cause of the future. Well, that's self-explanatory. We're encouraged to try and live in the present moment and not in our memories about the way things were, some experience we had, pleasant or unpleasant, etc. To let go of our grudges, our hatreds that we have created for ourselves from events in the past, and to not be anxious, foreboding, nervous, and full of worry about tomorrow or even the next minute, the next 5 minutes. Clinging to the past and craving for the future are major causes of suffering. And we're the ones who do that. Nobody makes us cling to the past. There are people who have post-traumatic stress syndrome, and I'm not suggesting for a moment that they don't, and that the events of their life would naturally result in this kind of suffering. But when we practice the Dhamma, we learn through mindfulness and meditation that we can, in fact, let go of events from the past, both pleasant and unpleasant. And those who have various forms of anxiety about the future, there are people who are so anxious they cannot leave their apartment or their home. They don't dare go outside. These anxieties about what might happen can also be healed through the practice of mindfulness meditation. The past is gone, the future not yet born. Suffering, its causes, its cessation, and the path, that's a capital P, also means practice towards its end, all lie in the present moment. So we've heard these things all of our life, things like, well, you can't change the past, or if I had it to do over again, I'd do such and so, or I regret such and so. Well, that's pretty much a waste of time. It's over, it's done with. And here's the really important part. It does not exist anywhere but as a memory. No one can show another person an event from the past. They may have a videotape of the event. That is not the event itself. That's a videotape. So, any memory that we have has the value that we give it. And we have them in a library called Sanya, and that library has filed away every experience that we've ever had. And they're filed under categories of that we like them, we don't like them, or we're neutral. And the future is the same. The future's not yet born. So it exists only as a fantasy. There is no future anywhere in the universe except as a potential or as a cause. All things have a cause, but it is not now. And to live in now is a challenge because we've never practiced living in now. We have a habit of living in the past and the future. And we jump over now completely most of the day because we've not developed the ability to stay mindful of the present moment, regardless of what the moment may be. It doesn't mean that the moment may be unpleasant or painful or hurtful, but when we practice mindfulness, we know that this moment arose without our permission. It will stay for some time. It will pass away. That's understanding and living in the present moment. So we don't need to hang on to the present moment if it's pleasant, or resist it, run from it, reject it if it's something that we don't like. We can stay equanimous. We can keep our equilibrium by just learning to watch and to know. Before we let go of the rock is ignorance, it's our dukkha, our suffering, we can't possibly know the benefits of letting go. It can be true about anything. Someone is overweight, and this is a physical form of the rock, and they decide to have a healthier relationship to food and exercise, etc. And they often express, at least on social media, that it's like having a whole new life. They didn't know until they experienced it directly that the benefits could make them so satisfied. So this dukkha, the ultimate dukkha, is the belief in a self, and we can't know just how much that belief, and that's all it is. It's a belief. Now, show me a belief. Go ahead, I want to see it. Can you draw a picture of a belief? Can you photograph a belief? It's just a thought. But it's so powerful, it's so overwhelming, it's so convincing that we spend lifetime after lifetime a servant, a slave to a belief. Don't confuse peace with happiness. Real peace sees the truth of happiness and unhappiness. So we have a saying, be happy, and it's a common saying in Buddhist practices as well. But the sages caution us from using that word, because if there's happy, there's unhappy. And if there's happy, it's going to change. And so just, quote, wanting to be happy is impossible in the long run. Regardless of how happy we are at any moment in a party, a birthday party, or with a lover, or our sports team wins, or whatever, we get a raise, promotion, whatever we call happiness is subject to change. Therefore, it can't be a source of lasting happiness. Peace of mind is a word that we use in trying to describe what it's like to live in a state of mind where we're not constantly fluctuating between happy and sad, happy and unhappy, satisfied and dissatisfied, full of love and full of anger or hatred. We're trying to step out of that habit, that mental habit of reacting to events in our mind and in our world. So real peace sees the truth of happiness and unhappiness. In other words, the truth sees that wanting to be happy is at the same time a wish to be unhappy, even though we don't see it as that. If we're going to be happy, then there's going to be unhappy. It's a law of nature. The two coexist as one. A symbol for that is the yin-yang symbol, that there's equal portions of happiness or unhappiness, or darkness and light, etc. Whenever the mind attaches to states of happy-sad, awareness of the attachment is always there. You may be unable to drop them, but you can be mindful of them. Don't give undue value to being happy or sad. Now, the practice of mindfulness is a two-step process, and so often I see it presented as a one-step process. The first step is to develop this one who knows, or the knower, and it's very stoic. It's sort of like a video camera. It just knows that there are experiences happening to what we call me in the present moment. But it's just witnessing us, me, having the experience. It is not having the experience itself. It's just standing as a pedestrian watching someone else have an experience. So that's the first step of mindfulness, to notice that you're claiming to have an experience, whether it's happy, sad, or any of the other range of emotions available to us. But the second step is to disclaim it. This is not me. This does not belong to me. This is not myself. And if we don't take step 2, we still believe the experience we're having is happening to me. So in order to practice mindfulness correctly, we have to notice what's happening as an observer, and then know that whatever is happening is subject to the law, that it will change, nothing is forever, that it's a form of dukkha because it is insubstantial and can't be counted on. It arises in consciousness uninvited and passes away according to the laws that govern it. And then the third most important one is that none of it, no matter how real it is actually happening to a person. Doesn't mean it's not happening to the body. Maybe we're in a car accident, or maybe we have an illness of some kind. The Buddha never said the illness isn't true, or the body isn't true, or that it doesn't feel like it's happening to me. When we have emotional heartache and disappointments, it definitely feels like it's happening to me. Buddha understood that. What he said is, you need to look beyond that sense of self if you want to find nirvana. Happiness is a refined form of suffering. Suffering is the coarse form. When we are happy, the mind is not peaceful. True happiness is the end of defilements. So, in the Pali language, the happy suffering is called sukha dukkha. I like that it's called sukha, reminds me of sugar, sucrose. So when we're happy, nobody wants to stop being happy. We're attached to happiness. We like it, and we spend our lives trying to repeat it over and over, moment by moment or day by day, this constant craving to feel better than we actually do in the moment. The coarse form is called dukkha, so it's called dukkha dukkha, sukha dukkha and dukkha dukkha. So in both cases, the one we don't want it to stop, and the other one we want it to stop immediately and to not come back. And that craving, no matter how subtle or how strong it might be, is the cause of our unhappiness. And until we see the cause of the unhappiness is not caused by something in the world, some experience in the world, it's caused by the way we color, the way we define whether the experience is pleasant or unpleasant, painful or not painful. So it says real happiness, and we should use another word, but we'll call it peace or tranquility or equanimity, is the end of defilement. And defilement is a wrong view. It's the wrong understanding of how the world works. Both the laws of the world we call a small d Dhamma, or the laws of Lord Buddha's Dhamma, capital D Dhamma. Until we understand in our heart by direct experience what these laws are, we're going to be subject to happiness and unhappiness. Don't get ambitious. There is no need to crave to get anything or to become anything at all. Now, Buddha said the very first cause of suffering is craving. And it takes all forms: what I want, what I wish for, what I expect, what I demand, all forms of craving. And it's the negative form of craving is, and I don't want this, and I don't like this, and I reject this, and I don't accept this. In any case, they're forms of expecting life to conform to our value system. Says there's no need to crave to get anything. Well, what about becoming enlightened? What about being free from suffering? And this is a kind of conundrum. If we don't make any effort to come out of suffering, we will not. We cannot lay on the sofa or lay in bed with covers over our head and think that magically, if we say the right prayers or perform the right rituals, some power will sweep down and save us from our misery. So, right effort is one of the Eightfold Noble Path, and we must make some effort. And when the time is right, when conditions arise at the right time and place, we stop wanting anything, including liberation. But there is a process, there is a time that we spend making an effort. But we need to be as mindful as we can be that this too must go, this too must end. So when we're sitting in meditation, wanting our meditation to be a certain way, the mind to be calmer than it is, or to reach some state of tranquility that we have become addicted to, we need mindfulness to step up in that moment and alert us to our delusion. So the conundrum is, you don't make an effort, you cannot stop making an effort. So we have to stop making an effort to be liberated, but we can't do that if we don't make the effort. Conundrum. Here's a quote from Ajahn Mahabua. I was the one who was deluded. So that means he wasn't seeing clearly. He was suffering from dukkha. Deluded into thinking I was special. As soon as you are something, then it gets difficult. The backstory to that was when Ajahn Mun died, and after the funeral, they were dispersing relics from the cremation of Ajahn Mun. And he decided that that was a kind of craving, and these monks who were kind of fighting over getting some of these relics were greedy and what do you say? And that he was above that, he was more advanced, more wise, and he went off in the forest and wasn't around at the time when this dispersal was happening. Later, what he saw was not that it was wrong or right to not want any of the relics. It was the ego that made him feel superior to the other monks, that they were just childish, greedy little pigs, and he was more advanced and wise and didn't care to share, to be part of that experience. So he says, I thought I was special. Now every human being, without exception, believes they're special. That's what being a human being means, that I am different than you. In some ways I'm better, in some ways I'm equal, in some ways I'm not as good, etc. But there's a me and there's a you, and we can compete because both of us have a sense of being special. Once that happens, life gets difficult. Don't be anything at all. That is a very, very difficult teaching. It is only mastered by an arhan. An arhan, and only an arhan, has no sense of self. There's still a body. They still eat and sleep and toilet and bathe and dress and come and go, but there's no sense that I am doing those things. Those things are happening. They don't belong to me. That's our goal. Okay, that's the end of the page. If you think this Dhamma may be a blessing to others, I encourage you to please like and subscribe so this platform can reach as many students of Dhamma as possible. Thank you.